Angela-san, thank you for your time today. I appreciate this opportunity, and also I'm excited because VCC is major partner for us. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Eric. It's a real privilege to be able to talk to you and then to some potential students from Japan.
Yeah. First of all, can you explain a little bit about yourself, what you're doing at VCC?
Hi, everyone. My name is Angela Liang. I was born and raised in Taiwan, but then I came to Canada about 22 years ago. So I've lived in Canada for the majority of my life. My position title at VCC is Manager of International Marketing and Recruitment. So I talk to students who have not applied to VCC or students who have just applied to VCC, but they don't know what to do because we have a lot of great programs. And a lot of people don't know what VCC is about. So it is my job to talk to everybody to let them know what programs are available, what services are available, and what you can do to become successful after you graduate from VCC. Hi, everyone from Japan. I'm Angela. And I would like to give you a very quick overview of study options at VCC, how we support international students throughout their study journey in Vancouver, and how they can become successful. Okay, so well, first of all, we are in Vancouver, and choosing Vancouver to study is one of the best decisions you can make in your life because Vancouver has been voted one of the most livable cities in the world for many, many years. And the reason is because we have wonderful people, people from many different cultures and nationalities live in Vancouver. We have mild weather. If you look at the weather temperatures, you'll know that it's not super cold in the wintertime and it's not super hot in the summertime. We have great sceneries and lots of indoor and outdoor activities all year round. And in this wonderful city, this is where VCC is located. We are located in the heart of Vancouver, and we have two campuses. And these two campuses are both situated in Vancouver. So they're not outside of Vancouver. They're actually in the city of Vancouver. And they have very easy access to restaurants, shops, bus stops, and train stations. And these two campuses are also very close to each other. So if you were to take transit, like public transit, buses, SkyTrain, it only takes about 15 to 20 minutes if you need to travel between these two campuses. Okay, and I'm just showing you some pictures of the interior, like the inside and the outside of both of our campuses. So the picture on the right bottom, this one, I took this photo and I put it on my Instagram account because I love it. It's actually my favorite spot at the Broadway campus because that's really close to the coffee shop. It's got great weather and great scenery. And this is also a place where you can actually, have a sip of coffee and chat with your classmates or friends in between classes. So, really great places. This one on the left is our downtown campus. It cuts off the building, but basically there are 9 floors of our downtown campus. There are 3 buildings together, and the tallest building is 9 floors. And then the second tallest building has, I believe, 4 floors, and then an atrium. So it's connected by like 3 different buildings. This one on the right is our Broadway campus, and these two are also inside of the Broadway campus.
I see.
The 2 campuses that we have, it's program specific. So you don't really have to go to 2 campuses on the same day. You basically go to one campus and that's the home of your future studies. But those campuses are program specific, which means that if you study in automotive programs or electronic programs, you'll be studying at the Broadway campus. And if you study baking and pastry, it'll be at the downtown campus. So it really depends on what you're going to study. And speaking of programs, VCC offers a wide range of study options for international students. These are just some popular examples. We have more than that, but I will be talking about some of the popular programs that Japanese students love to learn about. But before I begin, I wanted to just show you the list so that you know what are available. And as you can see from the programs, they all look like they lead to some kind of a career because they are very practical, very hands-on. And many of the popular programs are 2-year programs because students graduating from 2-year programs at VCC can apply to a 3-year post-graduation work permit. That's why the 2-year programs are more popular. Okay, so the first category of programs that I want to talk about is baking and pastry. So like I mentioned, there are different programs. We also have programs of different lengths. So some programs are 2 years, some are 11 months only. But the popular one is the 2-year program because students learn both artisan baking and pastry. So artisan baking could be, making pizza, making breads, and then pastry could be chocolate, dessert. So, if students study both, they can actually become a baker or a pastry chef. Mm-hmm. They have the choice. Mm. And the pictures that I show here are basically taken at our campus, at the downtown campus. So these are all our students, our student and instructor. And this picture on the right was a student's work. So basically that student participated in a competition and got, I think, a silver medal or bronze. I can't remember if it was silver or bronze, but definitely a lot of our students are getting awards from the competitions.
What's the difference between pastry and pastry ESL?
So the pastry ESL program is exactly the same as pastry, but the English requirements are a little bit lower. For example, pastry requires 5.5 IELTS and pastry ESL only 4.5. But because of that, they will need to study more English in term 1 and 2 in the pastry program. So students, they don't have to spend extra months. For example, it's still an 11 months program, but students will spend maybe 4 hours every day just learning about ESL in addition to the pastry program.
I see. Okay.
So it's also a little bit more expensive if students have lower English and you really want to study pastry at the same time, you can choose this option, but it will be a little bit more expensive.
I see. But they still can get the same thing as the students at pastry, right?
Yes. And because the ESL is not just ESL, it's actually communication support. So it doesn't really impact students' ability to get a study, to get a post-graduation work permit.
Okay. Thank you.
I also noted here that it's number 10 of BC's top trade. And basically that just means it's a very popular position or very popular career option because it's very much needed in our province. We need a lot of bakers. We need a lot of pastry chefs to work in bakeries, restaurants, dessert places, because we do have a lot of Canadians interested in these programs and this particular position, but they're not enough. We have more and more people coming to Vancouver. More and more people are immigrating to the country. So we need more services. We need more support. We need more people coming and joining our labor market. So this is definitely top 10 out of the hundreds of trades. So lots of people are able to get a job. Now, the employment rate after graduation is 88%, but every single international student that I spoke with has a job. So this is probably, including Canadian students who may not be looking for a job, but international students, they want to work. They want to utilize their working benefits. So everyone that I spoke with, international student, has a job. Yeah. And the next category of program is Culinary. Now, Culinary at VCC has two very different programs. We have a very short 5 months program, and we have a longer diploma, which is 2 years. There's nothing in between, just 5 months or 2 years. The majority of our students come into the diploma program. Sometimes students will begin with Asian culinary and then they continue with culinary because for Asian culinary, students will learn different skills to cook different cuisine. So that's a good way to get started because it's less intensive as the culinary arts program. They teach very specific cuisine. So it's a good way to get started. And remember, baking and pastry is number 10th on the list. Cooks is actually number 1 on the list of BC's top trade, which means a lot of jobs available. So culinary arts diploma program, it's a 2-year program. So students will learn everything from the beginning to the end. The beginning meaning learning what kind of knives are needed, learning what equipment will be needed in the kitchen, learning what is safe to do in the kitchen. How do you hold a knife? How long do you put meat in the fridge? You can't put it outside in room temperature forever. You have to put it in the fridge. How long can you keep it in the fridge? So those kind of information students will learn about. And then when you become more advanced, you'll actually be learning about how to create your own menus, how to open your own restaurant. So it becomes more managerial, a lot of supervisory skills, how to manage kitchen, how to manage other cooks. So it goes from very beginning level all the way to advanced level. And the diploma programs, again, the pictures are our students in those pictures. They will learn also how to do the services because, you know, when you go to a very nice restaurant and you really like the food, but you're allergic to peanuts, how do you make sure that the cooks or the chefs know about it? It's communicating with the service, right? You don't just tell the server to call the chef in. You usually tell the server what you are looking for, what you are not able to eat for allergic reasons, and then they will be able to communicate that to the kitchen. So our students will be required to learn very specific skills about how to communicate with the customers. And sometimes customers will ask, I love steak. What kind of wine goes better with the steak that I'm ordering? And they may say red wine is better, or white wine might be better because you are having a little bit of seafood in your menu. So a lot of discussions about what menu is better, or allergy, or what kind of food they're looking for, how they want it to be cooked. It is important conversational and communication skills that our students need to learn. So that's why they're also doing some dinner services in addition to cooking skills. They will be learning some service skills too. And just like baking and pastry, our students are also participating in a lot of competitions and getting awards. We also make sure that students have the chance to practice their skills. So for example, baking and pastry, we will send them to a bakery to do some practicum. For culinary, we'll do the same. We'll also send them to either a restaurant, hotel, even a hospital, because in hospital, they have cafeterias. They have people who are needed to do the cooking. So we will make sure that they have a place to do the practicum, in addition to learning on campus and then getting those skills on campus.
So when students want to take both classes, Asian Culinary and Culinary Arts, so it's going to be 2 years and 5 months length in total?
Yes, it will be 2 years and 5 months. And what we recommend is that students start with a short certificate first and then continue with the 2-year. Because first of all, the 2-year program is very popular, so they may have to wait anyway. So starting with Asian Culinary is going to give them a little bit more time to wait for the popular program. And second of all, the 5 months program does not allow them to work part-time anyway, because it's only 5 months. So if they do that first, then later when they have more skills, they have more flexibility to work part-time.
I get it. Okay. And one more question. I just wondering, in Canada, is there any license to be a chef?
Yes. So for, at least for our province, there are 3 levels: cook level 1, cook level 2, and cook level 3. At the college, at our college, they will be able to get both cook 1 level and cook 2 level. And the reason is because in order to get to cook 3, which is the chef level, students will have to have, I believe, 5,000 hours of work experience. It's a really long hours of experience they have to gather between cook level 2 and 3. So for the education and for the practice hours, our school will be able to give them up to cook level 2. And then cook level 2 means students can have good jobs at a restaurant or in a hotel with the second level of the cook option, the position. And then when they work for a few years, if they would like to challenge cook level 3, then they can come back to the college for very short-term training to get to the level. And then once they have level 3, they are a chef. They're master chef, basically. So you can work anywhere in Canada and getting paid the highest. In order to get those licenses, there is a test required. So what we do is we prepare students for the test. But before the students can take the test, they need to have the education and the work experience. And with VCC's education and the work experiences that we give them, they will be able to meet that requirement to write a test. Not everyone can just randomly write the test.
I see. It depends on the students, right? If they want to take the license test or not.
Yeah. Even if students don't pass the test, if they successfully complete our program, they can still get a diploma. It's just that when they are looking for jobs, they're less at a disadvantage because they don't have that license, but they can still graduate successfully.
I see. I get it. Thank you.
So this is one of my favorite programs because it's about beauty, right? Women always love beauty. So it's we call it cosmetology. So cosmetology is a very interesting word because not everybody knows what it is. It basically means beauty, outer beauty, physical beauty. So this particular program is a 2-year program, and it will include aesthetics and spa therapy. So it's about the body. And it will also include hairstylist, which is about the hair. Now, if you don't want to spend 2 years learning about diploma, you just want to graduate from a 10-month program, you can actually choose to only study at a certificate. That's okay. But if you study both, you study hair and then continue with the aesthetics, or you study aesthetics and then continue with hair, you'll be able to get 2 certificates plus 1 diploma. There will be 3 credentials that you'll be able to get. And the advantage of studying in cosmetology, which will include both specialization, is you will get better job offers because there are more and more salons and spas looking for people who can do both. You'll be able to also qualify for a 3-year post-graduation work permit. So it's more of an advantage for you if you choose to go to a cosmetology diploma. But in the beginning, if you're just not sure, you just want to start with 1, that's okay too. You just have to let us know if you want to continue with another one, and then you can get a diploma. So hairstylist is basically anything to do with hair, starting from healthy scalp, like healthy skin on your head, coloring, cutting, styling, shampooing, everything to do with the hair. Aesthetics and spa therapy is everything to do with the skin and body, or body and the skin, of course. So for example, body wrap, hair removal, facial, manicure, pedicure, makeup. So you'll learn everything to make the body look beautiful. So there will be a makeup component, but the makeup component is not a specialized makeup training. It's basically general training so that you know face shapes, what products goes where, eyeshadow is for eyes, eyelash color is for eyelashes, for example. So it's about the body and the hair. And I've also included some pictures. So this is actually, I know it looks like an advertisement, but it's basically taken at our own salon and spa. So remember, for baking and pastry, we have our own bakery. For culinary, we have our own restaurants and cafeteria. For our cosmetology program, we also have a VCC salon and spa. And the VCC salon and spa is open to anybody in Vancouver. If you live in Vancouver, you want to come and get a haircut, or you want to get an eyebrow wax or manicure. I've done my pedicure at the VCC salon and spa too. It's a lot less expensive. Because of that, we get a lot of customers who are basically booking 2 weeks ahead of time, 3 weeks, sometimes a month ahead of time, so that they can come and get their service done. Our students are not getting paid when they are practicing in our salon and spa because it's a good opportunity for them. They're not really ready to go outside to do their practicum yet, but we give them the opportunity so they can practice to cut hair. And also, for example, students don't go into the salon and spa right away to help customers because they need to have training first. So the training goes like this. You first of all learn about the textbook knowledge. You do some reading, you do some tests, you learn about the knowledge first. And then students will use the mannequin, like the fake models, use the mannequin to cut their hair or do their skin and body work. And then they practice on one another. So they'll practice on their classmates. And then they practice on customers at VCC. And then after that, we send them out to practicum. So with all these training, our students will be more comfortable. By the time that they graduate, they can basically go anywhere to work because they've gone through all those practices and training. All of our programs, not all, the majority, most of our programs are very practical. We have a lot of on-campus facilities to help them gain or practice those skills that they need. That's why we have a really high employment rate because our students are not just learning about textbook knowledge, right? They're learning about how to apply those knowledges and they're also doing it on the spot. So they can be very comfortable getting into job interviews and say, I've done this, I have done that, I can do it. And then they get hired almost right away. Yeah. So what happens is there is a requirement for students to complete one after the other. Usually it's 5 years. So if they, study aesthetics 10 years ago and then they want to come back to hairstylist, chances are the curriculum has changed. So they may not. But if it's within a couple of years, usually there's no problem. But if they want to get the post-graduation work permit, there cannot be a big gap. Maybe just a few months, but not a big gap. Otherwise, they can't get the 3-year work permit.
Okay, understand.
We do have students who say graduated from hairstylist, and then later they became a permanent resident because they had a lot of great experiences and they were able to find a job that sponsored them. But anyway, some of them did come back because, especially in Vancouver, there are more and more opportunities. There are 2 different types of opportunities. First of all, Hollywood. Hollywood movies are coming to Vancouver to be filmed. We are called Hollywood North. Vancouver is called Hollywood North because there are more and more production, TV productions, movie productions coming our way. And there are a lot of needs for these kind of beauty programs. And second of all is weddings. So for those of you in Japan, you might not know, but in Canada or in US, like in North America, people spend a lot of money on weddings. They could spend anywhere between $30,000 to $50,000 in weddings. And I know that because I used to work in a hotel that had a lot of weddings. So it's very expensive to spend in weddings. And people are willing to pay for anything related to wedding, including doing their hair, doing their body, hair removal, manicure. So there are more and more wedding studios that are hiring people who can do both. So yeah, lots and lots of opportunities for sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next slide that I want to talk about is hospitality. I actually have quite a lot of friends. I don't know why, but I have a lot of Canadian friends who study at VCC, graduated from VCC, and to this day are still working in the hotel industry in Vancouver. So I have a lot of knowledge about this. Definitely one of the best programs, one of the most popular programs at VCC is our hospitality management program. So I showed you 2 different credentials here. One is a diploma and one is a degree. So you might be wondering, why is a degree only 2 years? So basically, it's a simple math. It's 2 + 2 = 4. We give students a really good option. You can either study 4 years with us and get a degree, or study 2 years with us you graduate, you do your work. And if you do want to come back, it is possible. So remember I said I have some friends who graduated from the program. All of my friends who came to the diploma program worked in hotels in Vancouver for a few years and then came back for the degree and then graduated. So it's a really good option if you don't have the funds to spend 4 years in a degree. Or if you already have a bachelor degree, or if you already have a diploma and you don't want to get another 4-year program, then the diploma will be good enough. It's enough for you to get a supervisor job. But if you want to maybe become a general manager of a hotel, like the CEO of the hotel one day, you might want to go get a degree because that will get you further in terms of the corporate ladder. There are different reasons to study at VCC. I won't go through every single one of them, but I want to give you some highlight. For example, hospitality focused. There are some schools in Vancouver that offer hospitality related courses, but we're the only one that actually has an on-campus lab that teaches you how to mix drinks and make food. So we have a lab, which is part of a restaurant. So remember we talked about culinary. I talked about we have restaurants on site. We have a restaurant for culinary art students. We have another restaurant for hospitality students. It's actually my favorite restaurant because it's a little bit cheaper. And the food there is also something that I prefer. It's more pub related, pub food.
Yeah.
So our students will have a lot of practices on campus. They will also learn courses that are very specific to hospitality, and not just hospitality, but North American. So not everywhere in the world, hospitality may be different, but there is a really specific law. It's hospitality law in North America that students will need to learn about. For example, if you have guests checking in and they're supposed to check out at 12 o'clock today, but they didn't check out, their luggage is still in the room, and you have other people coming in to use the room at 4 o'clock. Can you remove the luggage? I don't know, but there's actually some rule and regulation surrounding that. Are you allowed to, move a guest's luggage if they're not in the room anymore and they're supposed to check out? So these are different kind of knowledge and training that our students will need to go through. Hands-on training, I talked about the restaurants. One thing that I really want to highlight is our network with our alumni and also network in the industry of hospitality. Because we have been offering this program for many, many years. We have a lot of students who graduated with us, and they have worked in high-level, management-level positions in Vancouver in different hotels, restaurants, golf courses. They have their own companies, and they are coming back to VCC to do different things. They give us scholarships so that we can, award students who have good grades or who have good volunteer experiences. They offer jobs to our students. They basically know the quality of VCC education. So they will want to hire our students to work for them. And we also have people who graduated from VCC that work in human resources department of the industry. So they will come and talk to us about, changing our courses so that we can better serve the industry. So for example, over the past few years, we have recognized that communication, and not just any communication, but multicultural communication is very important because there are more travelers coming from all over the world as guests. But there are many more people who work in the industry that come from many different countries. It's no longer, just Canadians. It could be immigrants who come from many different places that are working together. So how do you make sure that you have good communication skills to work with people from very many different cultures? So we added courses to make sure that our students are well prepared to go into employment after they graduate. And those recommendations are given to us by the people who are going to hire our students. So the changes that we're making are basically, something that those industries are looking for. They are looking to see the changes in the school curriculum so that they can better prepare. Students can be better prepared for the future employment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the employment rate that I listed here, it's 92% and 93%. Why the difference? 92% is basically the diploma, and the degree is 93%. It can change. And every time when we do a survey, it could be a slight difference, but basically it tells you how high it is for our students to be able to get a job. Job readiness. Yeah. So we make sure that they are able to do their job. And even if they're just learning very general business courses, we make sure that the students are doing practices that are really related to real work, real world scenario. For example, do a research on a particular small hotel and see how it became successful using social media to attract more customers to come, right? So these are very real world examples that we're making our students do the research on.
Are the most of the students employed in local, or it depends, like other cities in Canada or their own countries?
The majority of our students stay in Vancouver. Well, first of all, Vancouver has a lot of hotels and restaurants and other places too. So we, if possible, students like to stay in Vancouver. I know that there are students going all the way to Whistler because they may pay more. The reason that they pay more is because there's less housing up there. So people have to pay a little bit more to rent a place. So I know that people are, students usually stay within Vancouver because there are a lot of jobs available. And in terms of the type of jobs, it really depends on every student because, well, let me give you an example. We had a student who had never worked in a hotel before coming to VCC to study. He studied something related to computer, which is not related to hospitality at all. But during his 2 years of study, what he did was he went to different hotels to work the same position. So he was working as a housekeeper. When you think about housekeeper, you think about people who are changing bed sheets, who are scrubbing toilets. It's not the first job that many people have in mind when they first come to this program, right? But for that student, he was very determined. He wanted to work as a manager in the future in housekeeping. So he decided to start doing some part-time work in hotels in the housekeeping department. And then he tried with 3-star hotels and then 4-star and then 5 stars. By the time that he was about to graduate, he was offered a supervisor position at a 5-star hotel in Vancouver as a housekeeping supervisor. The last time that we talked to him was about a year or 2 ago. He actually got promoted to a hotel manager position, also in housekeeping related. And this is just a really good example of how the work experience plus the education plus the network is really going to give students a lot of boost in employment, getting them really good opportunities. Because if a student eventually becomes an executive housekeeper, which is the highest position you can get in the housekeeping department, the salaries are so high that it could be almost the same as a sales director. And those people are not involved in cleaning the rooms anymore. They're actually involved in hiring housekeepers. They're involved in ordering thousands of dollars of supplies. They're involved with the cleanliness of the hotel and also guest satisfaction in terms of the rooms. So I would really want to encourage anybody interested in this position or in this industry to start looking at different opportunities when it comes to part-time work, because those part-time work really help our students. And it's so easy for our students to get a part-time job because everybody knows that VCC trains students in hospitality. And we also connect students to employment. We invite a lot of employers to come and talk to our students for interviews. And we do it once a year now, but we're going to do it twice a year, starting from this fall. So every half a year, we will invite hotel managers, restaurant managers, and managers of different hiring agencies to come and hire our students for part-time work. And really, this is how our students are getting hired so easily.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's a great program.
Okay, so the next category of program is also super popular. And I want to say we have been offering this program for many, many years to Canadian students. But recently, it was only until this year in May that we started accepting students into this program, because the government of BC gave us funding. They gave us money to say, hey, VCC, here's the money. Please educate more ECCE professionals. So because we need them. And so that's why we are able to expand our capacity to build new classrooms so that we can educate more people, including international students, to work as an early childhood care and educator. So this is a very interesting position, because think about teachers. Teachers have really a lot of responsibility, but teachers that are teaching younger children need to learn even more skills, because a lot of times the children are too young to be able to speak up their opinion or what they want. They don't really know how to tell you that they need to go to the bathroom. So our students are trained to really look at physical cues, like how do they look like when they feel like they need to go and use the washroom? Or if they're having some pain in their stomach, how does it look like? Are you able to really gauge from their actions and really know what they're looking for? So it's really about human development, child psychology. A lot of our students in this program are amazing. They're like angels, because you need to have really good patience when working with children, right? So this is what our students will be learning. They'll learn how to care for children, not just educate them, but also care, because they're young. They still need some caring. And then in addition to caring, also educate them. But how do you educate them when they don't even know how to read? There are different things that you can use to stimulate their ability to learn, using sound, music, using your gestures, using different things. And so our students in this program, they will need to have good command of English, because you need to be able to teach them in English. And also good communication skills, not just with the children, but also sometimes with parents too, because parents might want to ask questions. And can you explain to them how their kids are doing in the daycare? So this program at VCC is very, very practicum heavy. There are 7 practicum in total throughout a 2-year program. And the practicum is something that students will do outside of school. On campus, we have a lab, or actually it's a childcare center that looks like, it's a place that is set up like a childcare center. It's not a real childcare center, but our students will be doing some practice on campus. But we also have a real childcare center on campus, which is actually open to the public. So I know we have some employees at our department that have children going to the VCC childcare center. So that's also another place for practice if necessary. And then in addition to those two, our students will be going to 7 different practicum employment sessions, so that they can learn, they can observe, they can know how things are done in those other areas. Basic and post-basic means year 1 and year 2. So year 1, students will learn basic training to become a certified ECE, or early childhood educator. In the second year, there will be some post-basic training. And post-basic training includes 2 categories. One category is infant toddler, which means younger children, usually younger than 2 years of age. Children that are still babies or they can't really walk yet, that's what toddler means. They're basically walking with their 4 hands, or 2 arms and 2 legs. And the other category that's part of the post-basic is special needs. So there may be kids that are, having some additional needs due to their physical ability or mental ability or other reasons. Or maybe they got hurt. They just, need to be taken care of a little bit more. So that's what post-basic means. The employment rate is actually quite high. It says 89%, but it's just an average. We don't have our first group of students, international students, graduated yet, so I can't tell you how much, but I know that the province of BC is looking to hire more, and we're also looking to build more childcare centers because there's just not enough. And I can actually tell you from experience, I don't have kids, but a lot of my coworkers who have kids are having difficult time finding a childcare center because there's just not enough teachers. Everyone is on the wait list for like 2 years, 1 or 2 years to get their kids sign up for a childcare center. So that just tells you the demand of early childhood care educators in our province. Okay, so I'll just go very quickly to talk about what business programs we have. Currently, we have 4 different programs, 2 credentials, 2 programs in diploma. So that's like, after you graduate from high school, you study another 2 years to get a diploma. And these 2 diplomas are training students to do entry-level accounting job and entry-level marketing jobs that are related to digital marketing or using different technology to do marketing tasks. The other 2 programs are post-degree levels, which require university degree. The university degree can be anything, any major. It doesn't have to be business related, but students will have to have a degree first to come to the 2-year post-graduation work permit. The 2-year post-degree diploma program. So I just listed some job positions that may be available after students graduate from accounting, marketing, Canadian business. For the project management, it's basically project management related jobs. So I won't talk too much about it because it's quite simple. A lot of institutions offer them, but it's also a really good way to get a business related job if that's what you're interested in. For VCC, we have a very high employment rate for our students. We don't want to create programs that will not let our students get a job. So whenever we are creating new programs, we had to make sure that there is demand. The reason that we chose these 2 programs and not just any general business programs is because we were told by many companies that they need accounting people. In accounting, there are different kinds of jobs and different levels. There are certified accountants who get paid a lot of money, but a company may not need a certified accountant, or they only need maybe 1, and then they will need more accounting assistants. Entry-level jobs, usually the need is higher because they need more people to do more general tasks. So that's why we have created these 2 programs because, first of all, there's a demand in labor market, and we know that it's lacking. There's not enough institution offering similar programs that train students to become junior accountants. That's why we created these jobs. The Canadian Business Management Post-Degree Diploma, we created this job about 3 years ago. So I can't remember, 2018, I think. So 3 years ago, we had our first graduates not long ago, and everybody had a job. And that's because we were really training them to look at different job markets, and we gave them a practicum. In the practicum, they were choosing one specific position or one specific industry that they want to go into. For example, we have students choosing finance. We have students choosing human resources. We have students choosing marketing. Like, it doesn't have to be this program. It could be this program too, because the Canadian Business Management has a lot of different business courses, but at the end of the day, it's really training students to work in Canada. So that's why we have, very happy to announce that we have 100% employment so far.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the next category is computer related. Now, computer is, it's becoming more and more popular these days, especially since the beginning of the pandemic. Now we realize how much we rely on technology. Our own IT department at VCC has been busier than ever because every single time our instructor was not able to live stream a class session, they would call our IT department. Every single time could not log into my email account because my password had expired and I forgot what it was, I call my IT department. So our IT has become very much in need, especially during the pandemic, and we expect that to continue many, many years from now. So in case you didn't know, Vancouver has been named the top city for technology job growth among North America. So we have a better job growth rate in technology compared to Silicon Valley, New York, Toronto, Seattle, where, Facebook, Seattle is where Microsoft is headquartered. But, there are a lot of companies, a lot of those tech giant companies opening up offices in Vancouver. In fact, Amazon's new building is just right across from our downtown campus. And they have a lot of jobs available. So that's why we are offering these programs to make sure that we are helping the Vancouver community to train future employees. So for the technology, computer-related programs, we have 3 different programs. They're all different credential. If you only have high school graduation, this diploma may be something is the only thing that you can consider anyway. And this program is focused more on programming, software, the systems of computer. If you already have a degree, it doesn't have to be a computer degree. You can have a degree in arts, but you have to have general understanding of how computers work. Then you can come into our post-degree diploma. The post-degree diploma program focuses on network. But what about network? The technology of network, like how it works, the administration of network, how do you use it? And security, so like cybersecurity, basically. So this is a very popular program, especially for students who want to go into the field of network. Now, if you already had some experience or some diploma or degree related to computer, and you don't want to study another 2 years because you have already done it, you can come into this advanced certificate program. This is also postgraduate level. You need to have diploma degree, or if you don't have a diploma, but you have years and years of experience, that may be okay too. It's an 8-month program, only focusing on the security of network. So these are the 3 different types. And network technology, it's 100% employment. It's not easier than computer software, but it is a little bit more popular these days. So network technology is definitely a really good program to study.
Is there any students that hoping to be employed by giant IT company like Amazon or Microsoft in Vancouver?
I think that's a lot of everybody's dream is to work for, the Facebook of the world, or, Microsoft, or what else, like Apple, those big companies. Realistically, if our students were able to get some part-time jobs during their studies and build up their experience, there's a higher likelihood of them to get employed by a really good company. So, for example, we have an automotive program. And in our automotive program, students learn how to fix cars. We have students who are, who after graduating from the program, they will go and work for Ford. We have students who graduated from the program and work for BMW. So how are they able to do that? Why would somebody work for Ford? I mean, Ford is a really good company, but the luxury is different, right? For BMW cars, the markets are different. So how are they able to get to BMW compared to those that get to Ford? It's really based on their experiences. So during the 2-year program, for example, computer or network, what kind of work experiences are they able to get? Really determine their first job outside of college. But we do have students who may not start with a really good company, but they're building their experiences and then later get hired at a much higher paid job or a larger company or even a promotion. So that's generally speaking, if you want to have a really good first job after graduation, try to get as diverse work experience at different levels as possible, because those are going to help our students land a better job after they graduate. Okay, so now that we talked a little bit about the highlight of some programs, I want to give you a little bit more information about how we support students. Because our programs are very, very practical, our students usually have no problem getting a job. That's why you see the 90% there. But the employment rates may change slightly. It may change slightly depending on when we do the survey. And every year, it could be a little bit different. I've listed some examples here, and you can see, for example, graphic design, the graduates have a 89% employment rate. And Canadian business management has a 100% employment rate. So on average, we want to say 90%, but this can change a little bit. So we usually say between 90 and 95, because this is where our students are telling us they usually have 90 and 95% of the employment rate. So how does VCC support international students in terms of jobs, but also in terms of being successful? Because it's not always about getting a job. It's always about keeping a study, work, and life balance, right? We may have students who have really good grades, but are burning out. They're having a lot of anxiety. They're not happy. They may, end up quitting because they're just not happy with their life. We don't want that to happen. So we want to make sure students can keep a good balance in life. And because of that, we provide a lot of support to help them become successful. For example, students can book a one-on-one session with a tutor for free if they are a VCC student. And the free session can be a math assignment. Some students have issue with their mathematics or accounting assignment. They can book a session with a tutor. We also have resume writing and interview skills workshops to prepare students for job hunting and interviews. Why would we do that? So maybe there is a good student who has straight A's, really good student, never late for school, has great feedback in the practicum. But if the student is not able to have a really good resume that shows all the experiences, if he or she just puts down whatever information, maybe that resume doesn't even get to the human resources department that makes the decision. Maybe they'll be like, oh, I don't know what this is about. They just toss it. We don't want that to happen. Or if student has a really good resume, really good grades and everything, but they don't have good skills to answer questions. For example, we may ask a student, potential employee, when we're hiring somebody, what was one experience that you had dealing with a difficult situation, and how did you overcome the difficulty? Maybe the student had great answers, but if the student is not able to answer the question, then it's very hard for that person to get hired. So we want to prepare students to let them know what kind of questions are being asked. We want to make sure that they know different tips and skills. If there is a question asked that was not what they expected, how do they make sure that they understand the question, provide examples, and then have a higher chance of getting hired? So we want to train students that way too. We also have counselors that help students navigate different career options. And most importantly, our instructors, they basically the ones that help our students recommend them to their first jobs in Canada. A lot of our students tell us that they were able to get their first job because their instructor knew somebody, or their instructor said, oh, there's this company hiring. Give me your resume. I'll just send it over for you. So the instructors' connections from baking to culinary to hospitality to design programs to business programs, all those connections really help our students get their first step into the door. And also, we have really high requirement of instructors. To give you one example, cosmetology. Some private institutions only require their teachers to have 2 years of work experience. But VCC, we require teachers to have 8 years of working experience in a salon or spa as a certified hairstylist or a professional esthetician before they could even work at VCC as a teacher. And of course, they have to get some teaching diploma certification in addition to the work experiences. We have really high requirements, high expectations of our teachers. And because of all those experiences our teachers have, they are helping our students to be successful.
Does VCC has its own network with like some industries, like companies, and does that help students to find more information?
Yeah, so it's really funny to say, but we don't really have a career center at VCC. We have some career hub with general information, but our students don't really utilize those necessarily because they can get all the support from the program area. Hospitality instructors and department leaders, they have 50 to 75 companies that they work with constantly to bring them to VCC to do different things. They would interview our students. They come as guest speakers to talk to our students about industry changes and trends. We have culinary instructors are all chefs. They either have their own restaurants or they are working in restaurants or they have worked in five-star hotels and restaurants that they have a lot of connections. And these industries are very small, tight industries. They have really tight communities. So it's very easy for an instructor to say, hey, I have 10 students looking for a part-time job. Who else is hiring? Or it's very easy for an instructor to get a phone call to say, I'm looking for 3 people. Who do you recommend to come to work for us? So that's why our students are able to get jobs, connections, because every program has its own network of industry. And it will be very hard to have one general area that has the same industries because every program is different. We're looking at hospitality, which is very different from accounting, which is very different from automotive or hairstyling, right? Okay, so what if students don't meet our English requirements? Our English requirements are different by program. Some programs only require 5.0. Yeah. Some require 5.5, some 6.0. The majority of our programs do require 6.5. So what do you do if you don't meet the requirements? We work with 2 language schools in Vancouver. They are the largest language schools in Vancouver. ILAC, and ILSC. So these two institutions train our students to meet the English requirements. There are 2 ways you can do it. You can complete the language school requirements and then apply to VCC. Or you can apply to the language schools and apply to VCC at the same time so that you can have a conditional admission. Different people do it differently. I would recommend you to apply for conditional admission because our programs are very popular. It's easy to get a job, not difficult to get in. And a lot of students think when they think about immigration, they will come to VCC because our programs are so skilled and so technical that are needed in the labor market. So they actually get more points or more likelihood of getting permanent residency if they go through our program and work in an industry that is very much in need in Canada. So because they're also popular, they fill up really quickly. So if you go through this, you don't have to wait after you finish the language schools. You can wait to begin your program while you're learning the English. Not every program accepts students conditionally. For example, early childhood care and education, it's a program that requires interview. And because it requires interview, you need to have good commands of English to be able to talk to the instructors during your interview. So you need to meet the requirements first. Design, if you're coming into any of our design programs, you'll have to go through portfolio review and interview, so it's not available for conditional admission, but almost every other program is. The business programs, culinary, hospitality, they all accept conditional admission.
Okay, understand.
Okay, next.
Yeah.
You might already know about this, but I still want to highlight students, international students working eligibility in Canada, especially if they are a VCC student. So if you study in a 2-year full-time program at VCC, of course, you can work part-time during your studies and full-time during the scheduled break. After you graduate, you can qualify for a 3-year work permit if you graduate from a 2-year program. I also included the minimum wage in BC, which is actually, this is actually $15.20, not 60.
Yeah.
It's the second highest in Canada. The only province that's higher than Canada, I believe, is Yukon or Northwest Territories, somewhere in the north. But otherwise, we're the second highest in the whole country of Canada. So take the opportunity, if possible, study in a 2-year program because you learn more. There are more opportunities for work. Just very quickly, if you want to see our pictures or videos, just go and follow us on social media. So this is my last slide. And then I just want to have a quick summary. To summarize, our students, this is what they told us about the reasons that they chose VCC. There are obviously different reasons. The most important reason is because we offer them job-ready skills. So it's easy for them to get a job because they have the job readiness. The quality of education and the instructors, like I mentioned before, our instructors have to have a minimum of a certain number of years working in their field of expertise before they can come and teach at VCC. And also the quality of education in Canada is obvious. And we, as a public institution, we always make sure that we are teaching students what they need. Not more, not less, but we teach them exactly what they're looking for. Location, we are in Vancouver. We are, the 2 campuses that we have are both inside of the city of Vancouver. Practical. So the programs are very practical with a lot of hands-on training. So you're not just learning about textbook knowledge, you're learning something that will help you to get a job. And success. So success means different things for different people. But for our students, the reason that they chose VCC is because the chance of getting a good job, that's what they consider success. And that's why they are able to do that. I also have some data to share with you. More than 80% of our students are Canadian citizens and permanent residents, which means that you have a lot of opportunities to make friends with Canadians at the college. About 96% of our students were satisfied with their education that they received. Why are they satisfied? Why are they happy about it? Because whatever reason they came to VCC for, they were able to meet their goal. Maybe they came to go to university. So we have some university classes. Maybe they came to learn some skills so they can open up their own business. We were able to help them with that. Or they just want to get a job and they could. So that's why the majority of our students are happy and satisfied with the education that they received. Average graduate employment rate of 90%. So that's the highest, one of the highest in our province. Last but not least, working eligibility for post-graduation work permit. Yeah, a lot of students really love to share what they're doing with us, especially on Instagram. Less on Facebook. I think maybe because of their age, they prefer to use Instagram. So students are doing different things, but the majority of the students are very busy with work and study because they are eligible to work part-time during their studies and they're studying full-time. So there are a lot of things that they're doing. They're working on their assignments. They're working on their projects. Like the pictures that you're seeing, a lot of them are actually from our students, like culinary students or automotive students or jewelry art students. They're basically doing different things. A lot of students have study buddies. So from their classes, they may have 1 or 2 people that they feel really connected to, and then they'll form a study group. So in our library, for example, now this is before the pandemic. During the pandemic, a lot of people just do it online or in a coffee shop. But before the pandemic, students would go to the library at VCC and then book some private study rooms where they can have maybe 3 or 4 students working on a project together. Or a lot of times they would just, do different activities on campus. On campus, we have different areas where students can just gather as small groups to discuss assignments. And this is really something that I strongly recommend our students to do. Make friends because they're going to be your friends for life. Imagine you're studying in a 2-year program, for example, together. These will be your classmates from day 1 until you graduate. So you'll see them almost every weekday. in class. They will potentially become referrals for your jobs. For example, you have a classmate who's working at one of the hotels and they're hiring people. They may think of you right away. So really make friends, connect with your classmates, connect with your instructors, because instructors will remember you if you are asking really good questions, you're prepared for your work, for your school, and you are never late. You're always keen to learn. They really like those students, and they will want to recommend you to a job. They want to think about you and then recommend you to a job if you are, a really good student, very active, asking questions, participating in classes. But yeah, the majority of our students are busy. they're just busy working part-time, and we want them to work part-time. We don't want them to just study and do nothing. We want them to build their professional work experiences so they can get a better job, and they'll be happier when they graduate. And then they'll think that their study experience at VCC is really successful because they are able to get a really good job.
Have you seen any students, international students, struggle to catch up classes or study?
At VCC, we have a really high graduation rate. So what does that mean? It means we have to actually look at it every year or every 2 years. And then we look at, for example, culinary or baking and pastry. How many students came in 2 years ago or 1 year ago? How many students are still studying? How many dropped out? How many discontinue? How many fail classes? And the percentage is different for every program. But generally speaking, our graduation rate is high. Sometimes, like even though I do recruitment, so I talk to students who have not applied, but if there's an issue, I usually know about it. So sometimes students will be withdrawn from the program, meaning that they are not allowed to continue studying not because they have really, really bad grades, but because they didn't come to class. So one of the main reasons that some students could not continue is not because they cannot catch up. It's because they're not coming to classes. They're not following the attendance rules. So that's usually the reason when students are not able to continue. We have very specific admissions requirements. So typically, if you meet the admissions requirements, you shouldn't have issue going through the classes material as long as you are doing what is required. The instructor requires you to write a paper. The instructor wants you to write a test. You need to do a group project together. You need to do a presentation. As long as you prepare, as long as you do what is required for you to do, it's a very small chance that you cannot graduate. And if you are struggling, I know that we have students who, in the very beginning, it's a new country, it's a new program, new material. They have never studied something like that before. They're struggling a little bit. We have learning center that has free tutors, so you can use them for free. They can actually help you through those difficulties. We also have counselors who can help you with study skills, because there are times that you might want to use some specific tips to help you study and manage your time. We have instructors who are willing to help. So I don't think you need to worry about not being able to graduate. Just make sure to focus on your study. Study is your first priority. If you're not able to keep up, give up your part-time job, because there's nothing worse than being able to work but not being able to continue your study. You need to be a full-time student. Successfully continuing student to be able to work part-time anyway. So if you're not able to juggle between study and work in the very beginning, don't work. When you are able to manage your study, then you start looking for work. I think that would be my recommendation, even though I really want you to start working as soon as possible. But if you cannot manage it, don't do that. One step at a time.
By the way, I like your background, the photograph.
I Googled it.
I
think some student must have taken it, and I found it on Google. This is outside of our Broadway campus. So our Broadway campus is more, it's not in downtown, so it's less busy in terms of people, but there's still a lot of cars because it's a very popular area.
So Anderson, thank you for your time today. That was a great presentation. I hope, sometime sooner, we can meet up face to face after Corona is, calmed down.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Eric. You and your team in Vancouver had really helped us a lot. I know that you care so much about your students, and students are very lucky to have someone who's based in Vancouver, very close to our office, to provide them with extra support. So thank you for doing that too.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.